Hello everyone, thank you for joining me. We're out at the cabin. It's the last week in April. We finally got decent weather. This morning I started cutting on a big oak tree, and Dad and I finally got it cleaned up pretty much. It was a project I started last fall just by knocking it down. Well, it landed on the field. It's too big to turn. It's about 48 inches on the butt, and unfortunately there's no saw log in it. So it's just firewood, but it's a lot of firewood. So I was hacking on that this morning. Then when I got out to the cabin, I went for a walk. I wanted to check on my spring. Now the spring, I've been watching it for a couple years. It's right behind me across the river. It's 150 yards away. Unfortunately, got across the river. But my goal with the cabin has always been to make it more, independent. It would be nice if you didn't have to haul out drinking water. Now, I do use a life straw. You can filter river water and stuff, but it'd be nice to have a clean spring and just go and get it. And I've noticed the only time that spring stops running really is in the winter. So I'm trying to figure out how to make it better, how to make it usable, how to develop it. So if anybody has any ideas on how to develop a spring, or how the old timers did it, and I know people used to do that kind of stuff, please leave a comment in the comment section, and I'm going to take a look at it, and I'd really like to hear your ideas. I don't have any good ideas myself. I thought about using like a sand point for a sand point well. Unfortunately, it's not in sand. It's coming right out of the rock. I mean, it's bedrock. If you stick your hand in, you can feel the cracks where it runs out. And I mean, it runs pretty solid year round. So I think if I could figure out how to make it, keep it clean and develop it, I think I could maybe use it. So that would be kind of neat. Like I said, that would make the cabin more dependable. This big tree behind me, I had a comment from Kenneth on my last video, and he was worried that this tree is dead and it's full of woodpecker holes, which it is dead, but it's only 12 feet high, and I'll show you with the camera here. Yeah, it's just a stub. It was destroyed in a windstorm about 10 years ago, and I left it stand to hang stuff on it and what have you. Actually, the woodpecker holes I've noticed in the winter, the chickadees live in some of those, and so I've always left it. Eventually, if it gets rotten enough, I will have to cut it down. It would fall on the building right now if it would tip over, but it's actually solid from here on up, and I'm not going to worry about it for a while, but I will have to take it down. So don't worry, Kenneth, and thank you for asking the question, because it's hard to see on film, or hard to see on video. I do have a large white pine behind, well, it would be on the east side of the cabin, probably 35 yards, 40 yards out, and it's leaning like perpendicular. It would not fall on the cabin, but it's going to block my road, my trail leading out. So I'm obviously going to have to cut that. So coming up here soon, hopefully, I can knock that down, and I'm hoping there's a couple saw logs, maybe make some lumber for my summer project, which is a bathhouse, and we'll start on that pretty soon if I could ever get in here. It's still pretty muddy in the woods. The fields are good. I can't get all the way in here with material. So today I'd like to talk about safety, and I did a video on the cost of the cabin recently, and I didn't add the safety equipment that I put in the cabin, or the safety features, I guess you'd say, or whatever. And I think if a guy were going to stay here any period of time, you're burning wood, I've got oil lamps, propane, there's some things that you need to have just to be safe. And we'll go inside and take a look and talk about it. The first thing I did, and I actually had this out here when I was working on the cabin. I left it in my toolbox then. Now I leave it in the cabin. Is get yourself a first aid kit. Nothing fancy. Probably could get a better one. This is an Army surplus. A lot of it's been replaced. Put in fresh bandages. You know, I mean, I don't know what else you'd need. Tourniquet. I don't think you're going to do surgery, but you know, you probably need the basics. Keep the wound clean if you get hurt, you know, and then have some knowledge on how to use that stuff. So myself, I've had some training in that, and you know, first aid is what it is. It's the first thing you can do to help yourself. Now here, you know, I'm not really too far away from medical care, like you would be like in Alaska someplace or up in Canada, but you still got to help yourself out. So your second big thing, probably you don't even think about, is your cell phone. Make sure you have a good cell phone, have it charged up. Especially out here, I don't have any power other than a generator, so maybe battery bank, which is what I use. I do have a little battery bank to go with the cell phone. Now, because you heat everything with wood, and we use oil lamps, you know, to light stuff, although most of the time I actually try to use battery if I can. These things, if you use paraffin oil, they don't stink at all. You can't even smell them. If you use kerosene, you'll smell them. The bad thing with paraffin is when it's cold, it actually freezes into a lump. So they won't work if it gets really cold. I found that out. I did not know that. Where kerosene will never freeze, of course, but it doesn't do you any good if it smells up the place and you can't stand it. So, but because you're using lamps and you got a wood stove burning all the time, and you cook with wood, and actually I use propane also, so you got all this fire around you, you better have some fire extinguishers. So go to Menards, go wherever, Home Depot, pick up some cheapy fire extinguishers. And they're not, I don't mean they're really cheap. You know, this is a basically chemical extinguisher. It's good for grease, electrical, you know, whatever. It'll put out the fire pretty decently. Of course, having water around for wood fire, and that is good too also. You can get stuff put out that way. Probably better to be safe than sorry, you know, and have a fire extinguisher with you, or I mean on the place. So I have two. When the upstairs is finished, I will put that second one upstairs. The first one is over here in the corner, above the wood stove, kind of, and close at hand. For upstairs, I don't have it here. We're not going to go upstairs. The upstairs right now is not finished. It needs to be insulated. It needs to have the finishing insulation put in, and then I can give everybody a tour of the upstairs. I mean, it's a loft. There's not a ton of room anyway, but you know, it's good for sleeping and storage, and it's fine. But you should have some things up there as well, and that's why we'll have an extinguisher upstairs. The other thing upstairs we have is a CO/smoke detector. Because again, you're burning wood and all this, you need that to make sure that you're covered. And if you fall asleep and something happens, that maybe can, you know, save your life, wake you up. You don't want to be here without, at least I don't. So the other thing for upstairs, because this is a cabin, it has one door. Now a lot of houses, of course, have 2 or 3 doors. Some don't have more than 2. A lot of them have 3 nowadays. But, you know, because this has 1, I decided we got to do something for the upstairs. So I purchased an escape ladder. You can kick out the window and, you know, throw it out. It's 13 feet, which will fit just perfectly. I think it's good for, I don't know, 400 pounds of weight or something, you know. And a couple people can go shimmying down it. It'll even hold me. There's no problem there. So it was a good purchase. I don't remember the price on it. You know, it was another, that probably was like $50 or better. So what are you going to do? You know, you got to have some of this stuff for safety. The last thing I guess I want to talk about, of course, are these new yellow mats. Now, these are flame resistant, fire retardant fabric. They use these in wall tents where you put them around your wood stove. In a wall tent, if your wood stove is closer than, if it's within a foot of your canvas tent, you better, you know, put up these mats. So I decided I was going to put a brick surround, but eventually I may, but for now I'm not going to. I have a lot of other projects planned, so I don't have time to do that. So I bought these instead. And I think they were $35 a piece. Yeah, that's another, you know, crowding $100 when you get done with shipping. but hopefully that'll protect the wall. I honestly have had no trouble with the walls heating up this winter, but I didn't stay here for 3-4 days. So, you know, I get in a day and a half, whatever. You know, you didn't overheat the wall, you didn't start it on fire. Well, that's good. This should give it another layer of protection. And like I said, I might someday, you know, put in a brick surround. It would help heat the building too. It would help hold the heat, which would be nice. But right now, I am not going to do that because I just don't. I don't have the time, and I don't have the energy to do it, I guess, right now. I have other projects for this cabin I need that have to be done. At any rate, I'd like to thank you for watching. And please like, subscribe, and share. You have any comments, questions, leave them below, and I'll get back to you. Like I said, I did ask about the spring. I'm hoping that somebody can, you know, clue me in on what they did, or if they know what people do with the spring, leave it in the comments. I'd like to hear it. So I'll sign off for now. Until I see you next time, take care.